What made you think, "You've got to be kidding me," when someone sat next to you on an airplane? 1. I was on a flight from San Francisco to New York, in a window seat, and a man in a business suit sat down in the aisle seat and then put his 3-year-old son in the middle seat. As soon as we took off and were allowed to put our tray tables down, the man took out his laptop and told the little boy to keep quiet and not bother him or me. I said it was okay if he talked to me. The poor child had no games or toys to distract him, not even any snack. It was before smartphones and before we could select individual movies. What was he supposed to do on a 4-hour flight? I played games with him, talking very softly to avoid annoying mean dad. The man didn't tell me to stop, so I had fun with the little guy until we deplaned. I shared a snack I'd brought with him, and I drew pictures for him on my legal pad. I was on a business trip. His father never said another word to his son, nor did he thank me, but the sweet little boy did and gave me a hug. Some people don't deserve children. 2. An attractive young French woman scooted past my aisle seat to sit in the middle seat next to me. She leaned over close and asked me if I was single. When I said no, married, and pointed at my ring, she actually leaned in closer and asked, "But are you single today?" Totally flustered, I was unable to give a comprehensible answer before she added, "Traveling single. Can you switch seats with my boyfriend?" Pointing across the aisle at a grinning young man 2 rows back. I switched seats and watched them cuddle for an 8 hours flight. After years of telling this story, my wife is known to throw out a "Are you single today?" comment when I get out of line around the house. 3. I was bracing myself for a 13-hour plane ride, no easy task when you have claustrophobia. I had the L seat, and was waiting to see who'd be next to me. When I saw, my heart plunged down. It was a woman with a 4-year-old boy. I expected a nightmare. It turned out he was the most intelligent and delightful child I'd seen in a long time. He asked really smart questions, sometimes amusing and always intelligent, and I had a wonderful time with him. I think if he'd been 14, 24, 44 or 84, I'd have liked him just as much. Sometimes life brings nice surprises. His mother was nice too, but that was less surprising. 4. Flight from Canada to the UK. Guy sat down next to me and I gagged. "So what? I hear you cry." Well, I'm a plumber's son. I've worked farming and domestic spillages and ruptured pipes. I have literally worked knee deep in human poop to get a job done, and the smell of this guy made me gag. So I went and asked the harried looking attendant if I could switch seats, and she just spat out "Full flight, no seats," and shooed me away. So I went back to my seat, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit next to this guy who smelled like a homeless guy who had shat himself to death in the Florida sun 3 days ago. So I went to try the attendants again and, again, I got the brush off. Back I went to my seat and I had a little think. And I started pushing my call bell. A lot. Grumpy attendant came to see me to shut me up. Grumpy attendant leaned in close to tell me off. Grumpy attendant took a big deep breath in so she could give me a proper scolding. Grumpy attendant nearly puked in my lap. Shortly thereafter my happy arse was a long way away from where I had been, and now apologetic attendant fed me business class food and whined to say sorry. In all of my long decades on this silly little flying marble we call home, that man was, by far, the worst thing I've ever smelled. 5. I want to start by saying the lady who sat next to me wasn't really the source of my "you must be shitting me" moment, and I felt horrible for her. She was obviously incredibly self-conscious and miserable. I had bought an aisle seat with only one other seat in the row. I do this, or did, because it normally meant I had the row to myself, and if I didn't I would still have a bit more room than by the window. By the way, I'm 6 feet 3 inches and 220 pounds. I am in good shape but still a big boy. I was in my seat for maybe 5 minutes when the largest woman I had ever seen on a plane walked towards me. Fate being the pain in the ass it is, I knew she was destined for the seat next to me, and sure enough that was her seat. The woman was an older Latin lady who I had the impression was on a plane for the first time. I'm not sure if she didn't speak English or was just a very quiet person. My horrible Spanish didn't seem to work on her either. The story I made up for her was that her daughter had recently given birth to her granddaughter, and this made her willing to get far outside her comfort zone and take this trip. When I say she was a large woman, I mean she was so large the attendant had to get a seatbelt extender and we couldn't have the armrest down between our seats. She was taking up her seat and at least half of mine. This meant, me being a big boy, that I had a significant portion of myself in the aisle. As awkward and uncomfortable as this was, I was fine with it. As I said, the woman was clearly mortified, and this was just a few hours of my life that would quickly be over. The WTF moments came when the attendant walked up and instructed me that I had to stay in my seat area per FAA regulations. I asked her how I should do that, and her response was, "You need to figure that out, sir." Me being me, I decided to ignore the direction and hope it was just the attendant saying what she was required to say, though her attitude didn't suggest that. She came back 2 more times to instruct me to get in your seat. The last time she told me if I didn't comply she would need to report me. I had no idea what that would involve. I responded with, "You should do what you feel you need to." My thought was that suggesting an airline employee fornicate with herself in a creative way would probably get reported too. By this point the lady next to me had gone from mortified to "somebody please kill me," though I might have just read into that. The attendant returned one more time, this time with another attendant in tow. The new lady took one look at the situation, then looked back at the original attendant and told her to go forward and do something. I think it was serve drinks. She then turned back to us, and in a very sincere sounding voice, asked if she could get either of us anything. The rest of the flight was uneventful. When we landed, the passenger next to me got off the plane and, I told myself, went and enjoyed her grandchild. I left after her and didn't see the original attendant on my way out, but the other one smiled and wished me a good day. I sincerely hope the passenger had a better flight back. I never did have anyone pull me aside, arrest me or do a cavity search.